Hey guys, so in a previous video I had talked about how I wanted to start buying indie makeup again, and so I had a certain range that I wanted to spend per month because this is the only makeup that I plan on buying other than my little side project that I'm doing where I make my own makeup. And so I started thinking, oh my gosh, where do I start? Because there are so many indie brands out there. Well, I must have been having a nostalgic moment because I got thinking about all the indie makeup I had bought in the past and what my favorite brands were. And maybe my favorite palette of all time is the Melt Cosmetics Muerte palette. I don't have that anymore, but man, did I love that palette. I liked the Vita one too. That collection was incredible. Anyway, so I went to the Melt website and man, did I hit it right because at that time, everything was 40% off. I was like, are you kidding me? So I looked at the prices and I was like, okay, because I had this idea in my head how much I was going to spend, I was like, I can get two palettes now instead of one. So let me show you what I picked out. So the first one that I picked out was Blueprint because I love blue eyeshadow and I am wearing this right now. And if you stay for the whole video, I actually did a makeup tutorial with this after this part of the video. So this is what Blueprint looks like because yeah, I love blue eyeshadow. So I love that you've got the blue on one side and then you've got the more neutral shades on the other. So you can do two completely different looks, or if you're really adventurous, you can incorporate, you know, colors from both sides of the palette. But I prefer to uh, stick to one color story and then, do another color story there. So yeah, I got this for 40% off. So man, did I hit that just right. Unfortunately, for those of you watching right now, that sale is over. But yeah, I was really excited about that. Now, the other palette that I got, I'm going to do a separate video because otherwise, this video would be too crazy long. So I will do a separate video about this. The other palette I chose is not colorful because sometimes I like to do colorful makeup, sometimes I don't. It just depends on my mood. So the other palette I got is the Dark Matter palette, and this is neutrals. And there's a plastic overlay on the palette that has all the shade names on it. But let me take that off so you can see the actual palette. So this is a palette that just screams fall and winter to me, especially fall, because you've got your browns and your golds, and you've got a couple of blacks or a black and a dark gray. You've got like these rusty tones, and you've got quite a range of, you've got some beiges, but the browns are a nice assortment in depth and warmth, changes in warmth here. I mean, this one has got almost like a little bit of a mustardy hue to it. And then you've got a bright gold and a deeper gold and then a brown shimmery shade. So yeah, I think this is going to be fun to play with. So I will do a separate video on this. But yeah, 40% off two Melt products. I was so excited. So I figured I would start with that. Now I know I said in my video where I was talking about indie makeup just in general, I said that indie makeup is not typically sold in stores, but Melt is sold sometimes at Sephora, sometimes at Nordstrom, but it's been kind of disappearing because they used to have a Melt section at Sephora, but they don't anymore. And then I think it's leaving Nordstrom as well, because if you go on the websites, you'll see that things are marked down on those websites as well. But on the Melt one, everything is back to its normal price. But last year, I wanted to get something from the Halloween collection, and unfortunately, I had gone to Sephora and everything was gone by the time I got to the store. Because at that time, I didn't have a Sephora near me, so I had to wait until I could get that far out. But I have one near me now, so if they do bring a Melt Halloween collection back, a new one this year, I might want to get that when we get to that part of the year. But I actually have already been looking ahead as to what I want for August picks. And I think I already know what I want to get in August, because I'm going to buy one or two things or more, depending on the prices, every month that are indie brands. So anyway, if you wanted to see a makeup tutorial with the blue print palette, that is coming up next. So stay tuned, keep watching, and that's what you will see next. Okay, so welcome to the makeup tutorial portion of the video. And if you're new to my channel and you just tripped across this video by accident, I think it's boring to watch people put on foundation and concealer and powder and contour their face. So whenever I do my makeup tutorials, I always start with blush, because that's, to me, the most interesting thing in the process when we get to this part of the face. So I am actually going to use a bronzer as a blush because of the color scheme of this palette. So I'm going to use Hard Candy Instant Summer Natural Powder Bronzer in the shade Toasted. And I bought this at Walmart, and I enjoy using this sometimes as a blush. So I'm going to grab my old Essence blush brush that is not available anymore and just dip my brush in there, and I'm going to apply this just like I would a blush. So the color story of this palette is blue, brown, and gold. So that's why I'm doing this, because I'm going to be doing a dark nude lip. So I'm using bronzer as my blush. You can do that. There are no rules with makeup. You do what you want. And to complement the blue part of the palette, I'm going to use a blue highlighter. And this is the Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighting palette. And I believe the only way you can still get this is on the Wet n Wild website. They might have it on their Amazon storefront. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that I got this off of the website. So this is a Wet n Wild fan brush. And we're going to go into that blue shade, which is called Diamond Lily. So I'm going to go right across the top of my cheekbones. So that's just going to give me a blue sheen. I love the color assortment here. We've got pink, blue, green, and peach, I would say. Okay, so next is going to be eyeshadow primer. I've been using the Morphe Solo Artist Priming Cream Eyeshadow in the shade Debut ever since it came out. And I use that with a Sephora 57 brush, which is a concealer brush. And this time I'm going to make sure that I get plenty of this in that little section in the outer part of my eye that the eyeshadow never wants to cling to. As a matter of fact, let's put a second layer on just for good measure. All right, so eyes are primed. So let's dip into this palette. Take off the plastic overlay. And where should we begin? Well, of course, I had to go with the blue. So let's take this blue called Dim Out. It's a pretty dark matte blue. And I'm going to use a smaller brush because this is going to give me more control, because Melt's shadows are intensely pigmented. So if I use a larger brush, it's going to be too much in my opinion. So yeah, let's start with a smaller brush. And I'm going to go about the halfway point, I would say. I've had melt palettes before, like I mentioned in the early part of the video, so I know what to expect. And I'm also going to go into the outer part of my lid. And now I'm going to try to take it out, and see, putting extra eyeshadow primer in that corner made the difference as far as the eyeshadow clinging there. So I got to remember to do that every single time. Oh, I've got a piece of hair. Oh, good, I got it. I hate that when you're trying to do your makeup. Now, I could pin my hair back, but I just finished blow drying it, so if I pin it back, it's gonna want to go into that shape and stay in that shape. So I want it to stay in this shape. All right, so speaking of staying in a certain shape, right now I'm just trying to form the shape that I want this to be. Now I think I'm going to fade this in a little bit further than the halfway point. And then I'm going to go over the outside edge and blend it, because I don't want the edge of the shape to be too harsh. See why I wanted to use this kind of brush? If I had the big fluffy blending brush like a lot of people use, it would just go all over the place. So this way here, I have way more control. And now I'm going to fade it in to a little further into the lid. So this kind of super pigmented shadow is going to take more work, more blending, but you just got to be patient. Okay, so that looks pretty much the shape I want, and my edges are blended. Yeah. Okay. So let's set that aside and let's put let's put Deadbolt on the lid. I have an idea here. And when it comes to lid shades, I like to use my fingers. Isn't that pretty? So that's Deadbolt. So we're going to go in the inner part of the lid and drag that across. And make sure I get all the way down to the lash line. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a small shader brush. This is AOA Studio E131. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of that darker color called King Stud right there. And the only reason why I'm using my brush is kind of hard to get your finger in a specific spot. So I'm going to put some of that in between Deadbolt and dim out, so that I have three colors there all fading into each other. Okay, and just going to wipe off the excess inside my other hand so I don't get this everywhere. All right, let's take a clean brush. This is a Moda brush, and let's go into Skylight. And I'm going to put that in my inner corner. And I'm going to put that on my brow bone. That's a really pretty color. Okay, and now I'm going to take a detail brush. This is a small firm eyeshadow ES4 brush from Profusion. And I'm going to pick up some of that dim out, which is the bright, darker blue matte. And I'm going to very carefully put a tiny bit of this under my lash line and connect that to what I did in the outer part. Okay, not too much though, not too much. All right, now I'm going to take an eyeliner, and this is an LA Colors gel eyeliner in Mermaid Tail Shimmer. And that's what this looks like. I thought that might coordinate nicely. I thought this would look pretty on the waterline. Because if I'm uh-oh, I just slipped. Um, that's all right. That's what Q-tips are for. If I'm going darker under the eye, then I like to go lighter on the waterline. I hope that didn't gross anybody out that I wet this with my mouth, but I don't know. You do you. Don't necessarily copy what I do, because mouths do have a lot of germs in them. So yeah, that's probably not the most sanitary thing in the world to do. But let me shut off the camera, play catch up, and I'll be right back and we'll do the lips. And because I also think it's boring to watch people curl their lashes and apply mascara, I did that too off camera. Okay, so for the lips, the reason why I chose what I did for the lips is because if you look at this color story, I wanted something in this range right here so that I was incorporating the entire theme of the palette into my look. So I'm going to use Glamlite Chucky for the lip liner. How appropriate is that, huh? Because Glamlite is an indie brand. It just kind of worked out that way. Okay, and for a lipstick, you guys saw me buy a whole bunch of the Wet n Wild Silk Finish lipsticks, and this one is 534B Mink Brown. So I thought that was pretty darn close to that eyeshadow in the palette that I just showed you. Okay, so that is the finished look, and I hope you enjoyed that. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps my channel when you do. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.